All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to look at our next measurement, which is capacity. Remember last time we talked about volume. And remember, volume is the amount of space that an object takes, right? So how much air it displaces or how much room it takes to put that object in a spot. And capacity is often confused with volume, but capacity means how much stuff would fit inside an object. Okay? So we think usually of liquids or something, like how much milk goes into a carton. The carton has volume, that's how much space it takes up, and it also has capacity. It has the capacity to hold some liquid or whatever. It could be whatever you want to. And the units for capacity are liters. Okay? Now, just like any other measurement in the metric system, the beauty of the metric system is that you can convert from one to the other using the same type of pattern that we've done before. So if you have liters, to the right of it you have what? Deciliters, then centiliters, then milliliters, and to the right you have deca first, decaliters, then hectoliters, and then kiloliters. Now we're going to introduce one more today that's a special unit that you'll need to remember. For capacity, it has the most things to remember than any other. Because you're going to see that there's a relationship between the other measurements and capacity. But it's not like a unit-to-unit relationship. So you see what I mean in just a moment. So there are a couple of things that you're going to need to memorize. All right? Now, the beauty of this thing is there's very little to memorize. It always stays the same. Doesn't matter if it's liters, meters, grams, whatever, right? You can just jump back and forth. So at least you don't have to memorize all of those conversion factors. Okay? But you do need to know a few conversion factors for when you're talking about changing, for example, when you're changing volume to capacity, which you can do. Okay? And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So the first thing we want to do, though, just like anything else, is think about some basic capacities and get just a visual idea of how much things are. So let's just pop over to the book and think about some of these. So here we have some things. We have different measures of capacity. 1 liter and is 1,000 milliliters. Again, you just find that by jumping three places over, right? 1 kiloliter is 1,000 liters. And this one is the new one. This one is something called a megaliter. Okay? So 1 megaliter is 1,000 kiloliters. If you think about distance, 1,000 kilometers is a long way, right? But with volume and capacity, you frequently have big bodies of water or some other liquid. For example, if you went to you were talking about the amount of water in the harbor, kiloliters wouldn't do it, right? Because there would be thousands and millions of them. So typically, larger bodies of water, we use what are called megaliters. And a megaliter just simply means 1,000 kiloliters. So you could find the ones in the middle. It's a 3 times jump, or just remember that it's 1,000 of them. So if you have it in kiloliters, then just multiply by 1,000 to find it in megaliters. Okay? So you can count that. So unfortunately, with capacity, there is some memorization to do. But we prevented on all the other stuff, so that was trying to make your life easier until we got there. So there you are. You have megaliter, just abbreviated capital ML. If it's lowercase m, that's a what? Milliliter. Okay? Just like deca and deci. Deca is the bigger one, so it gets a capital D. Okay? All right. So we're going to look at a few basic items and think about what measurement would best be used for them. So here's some familiar. A medicine glass. I don't even know what a medicine glass is. What's a medicine glass?
The little
little that come with the... Okay. All right. It's very odd. All right. It has a capacity of 25 milliliters. Okay. A standard bucket, guys, come back to me. Standard bucket is usually about 8 liters. Your hot water system, so that's the tank that heats your water for you, for those of you who still have that kind, is 170 liters-ish, right? They vary, certainly. A cup is 250 milliliters. A petrol tank for like in a car. A 50-meter swimming pool is about 1,500 kiloliters. And if you have a reservoir, that would be measured in like a lake. Yeah.
Why did they say so? You said
well, a reservoir is a specific type of lake. It's not natural, it's man-made, and it's designed to hold water for drinking or whatever. Okay. All right. Okay? Right. So this is water that's held in reserve, so it's not like just a natural lake. Okay? And here you go. You can convert using multiplication and division if you want to, or you can just use that jump thing until you get to here.
Can we put that down?
Of course you can. Okay? So you can certainly memorize these if you want to. And the most basic units for liters usually involve 1,000. You very rarely would say centiliter. Milliliter is the most common, then liter, then kiloliter, then milliliter. So if you were going to memorize the multiplication and division algorithm for these, this one is probably the easiest because it's always 1,000 for the most common units, right? But you got to be careful. What if you weren't using the common unit? Then you'd have to know the rest of them as well. Okay? Because obviously that's not all of them. Excuse me. But you're more than welcome to memorize those if you would like. Okay? So, converting milliliters to liters, milliliters to liters, we're going from a small unit to a larger unit. So we're going to just divide by 1,000, right? Because you're going to get fewer of them because they're bigger units, right? Okay. So just divide by 1,000, which does nothing but move the decimal how many places? 3 places to the... Your left. Yes, your left. Okay? Sorry, it's harder up here when I'm pointing. Okay? So you're going to do a few conversions, and you're going to see what you think the table should be. Now, the biggest part of today's lesson, though, has to do with connecting volume and capacity. Right? Volume is measured in units of length. So meters, right? But capacity is measured in liters. But they do have a relationship, and you need to know that relationship. Now, this is not negotiable. You must know this relationship, at least this first one. The others you can get from from other ones. So, okay, but this first one you have to have. If you have a box or a cube of 1 centimeter on all sides, that's 1 cubic centimeter. And 1 cubic centimeter is equivalent to 1 milliliter. So it's centi to milli, so that's what I was saying. It's not like a one-on-one, but you need to know that one. Now, see this funny little equal symbol, that 3? That means is equivalent to. Okay? They're not the same thing, but they're equivalent to. All right.
How do you spell equivalent? Oh,
See it up there somewhere?
2 centimeters.
Yeah, there it is.
It would be 2 milliliters.
So just multiplying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you increase the number, that number, you increase this number.
So yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought I said yes first. Yes? No, sorry. Okay, now, and that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be saying if it's 5 square centimeters, then it's 5 milliliters. Okay? They're equivalent measures. So if this number changes, this number will change. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay? All right. So you need to know that one. Now, if you want to get really efficient, then you can memorize a couple more of them. If you had a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter, that's 1,000 cubic centimeters. That's a liter. But once you got to milliliters, then you could get to liters if you wanted to. See what I'm saying? So if you had 1,000 centimeters cubed, you could just change that into 1,000 milliliters and then change it to liters if you wanted. So you don't have to memorize this one, but the first one you must memorize, no questions asked. Okay? All right.
So you can ask questions about how to memorize it?
I don't have any idea how to. You come up with something and let us know. Okay? Right? And then finally, one cubic meter is the same as a kiloliter. And again, memorize it if you want to, but again, if you have this, you can get to this, but if you already have it in meters, so if you didn't have it in meters, because this one was centimeters, so it's a little easier. If you didn't have it in meters, you'd have to convert it to centimeters cubed, then convert it to liters, then convert it to kiloliters. So it might be easier just to memorize it. You see what I'm saying? Okay? And then finally, all right, so there's the whole chart altogether. So these are the ones that are the most common. So it would be good if you memorized at least the first two. You don't have to memorize the middle one, but it would not hurt you. Okay? Now, so then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at converting some of these. Find the capacity of a fish tank, 2 meters by 1 meters by 50 centimeters. First of all, can anybody tell me what is horribly wrong with this that I cannot deal with right away? Meters, yes, there you go. The units aren't the same, right? Okay? So we'd have to either convert these to centimeters or this to meters. Does it matter? No. Not in the least. Okay? So here they converted them all to centimeters, and they got centimeters cubed, which just means to find the milliliters, you just divide by 1,000, right? Because 1,000 cubic centimeters per milliliter. And then they converted the milliliters to liters, again, by dividing by 1,000, and it gave you your answer. Okay?
Can I write that down, please? Thank you.
Of course you may.
Yeah, I'm writing something.
Because we're ready for our homework.
Oh, yes.
You're just going to have to practice them and memorize them, okay? All right. So for your homework, you're going to do 13C and 13D.